Hey folks, alright, we're back. This is Fat Guy Flyers RC, coming to you from the man cave. And this is the X-Fly SIRIUS 80mm sport jet, and as you can see, she's balanced. Alright, the CG is 140 to 145 millimeters back from the leading edge root. Just like I said in the unboxing build, it's from the leading edge root, not the leading edge of the wing. And that is this plastic structure here, okay? And you take your finger and you go in, and basically it's right at the very rim of that tire on either side. So if you got the, obviously if you got the gear up, you put your fingers on the rim, on those rims, and that's where she's going to pretty much CG right there. Now, I've also got the marks on the top of the plane, you can see. So that's where I just had it sitting on the CG machine. And on the Hobby King CG machine, and she's just about perfect right there. All right, let's put the gear down, and we'll go over radio installation. All right, now I install, and again, excuse my voice, I'm real weak. I'm getting over cold and flu and diarrhea and all kinds of crap, literally crap. And on that shelf, like I told you and showed you in the build, I have installed an AR631 and spectrum receiver. Probably that shelf moves a little bit, so you might want to put yourself a little bit, you know, it's going to move around a little bit, so I put you a little bead of glue to hold that, because that's, you know, gyro enabled receiver, so you're going to want to keep that secure. The antenna is just back and kind of looped. Took her outside. She more than passed her range test, so I'm not worried about that. And that is where I've got the 4000 Sokokin with an ADC. Since I know that's a good CG, I'm going to go ahead and mark that. What I'll do, I'll make a line there. Make a line up, and I write 4000. And see what I got there. Put that line there. You can see it. I put 4000, then I know from that line back is a 4000. So if I go with a 5000, I'd have to go even further back. So I know that front strap, I can kind of sort of use it. Maybe catch a part of the one corner of the, now if I had a lighter 4000, well then yeah, I'd definitely be using that strap, no problem. Just barely kissing with that front strap, and that's pretty much it. That second strap is what you're going to use for your 4000. It does have an XT90, but I've got an EC5. They mate together. They're nice, you know, not a problem. You might want to use an adapter. Just be aware that, see how easily that came apart? Depends on the EC. Some of these XT90s and EC5s fit together very tightly, and then they're fine. But like with an EC3 or an XT60, sometimes they'll fit together no problem, nice and tight. In this situation, this is very loose, so I'm going to have to use a solid adapter. I'm not going to trust that. I don't want that to vibrate loose in flight, and you know, I have a flying paperweight. Now, we talked about CG. The ESC was spot on. The ESC, as far as being calibrated, had motor on, immediate thrust, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, and we talked about CG now. The ESC did not need to be calibrated. Let's talk about rates. Okay. Now the book uses millimeters and not percentages. I'm a spectrum guy. Everything I have is percentages. Okay. So for high rates, all the way around is 100% throws with 30% expo. My mid rates on everything. Okay, when I say everything, high rates on my aileron and my elevator and my rudder are all 100%. My rudder I left at 100% with 30% expo, only one rate. But for my ailerons, I have for high is 100% with 30% expo. Same thing with my elevator. That's what that looks like. My mid rate for my aileron and elevator is 85 with a 30% expo. Okay. And then my low is 70 on ailerons and elevator with 30% expo. Okay. Now, my flaps, you can see my flaps there. My flap settings on a spectrum, just to show what they look like. For flaps up is 100%, takeoff flap is 50, and landing flaps is 100% with no elevator to flap mix at a 2-second deployment. Now, I will worry about whether she balloons or not, or whether she needs an elevator to flap mix once I fly her for the first time. But that's what takeoff flaps is going to look like.
Landing flaps.
And that's what landing flaps. So you're not really able to see that, are you? Let me a little bit better. You can see that. Okay, that's landing flaps.
Takeoff flaps.
Takeoff flaps.
Flaps up.
Flaps up. All right. Okay, I'll be running a timer for 3.5 minutes for the first flight. And then I'll, work out trim and everything from that point on. Okay, I will be, one thing I've noticed in the build is this elevator. See how, to me, that's got a lot of play in it. Now, if you look closely, the structure around the rudder is really not moving, but there's play in the rudder. So what I might do is pull these out again, put a little bit of glue, maybe put a little bit of filler in that wing spar, and try to maybe stiffen that up just a little bit. I don't like that much play. There was only very little trim. I didn't do any mechanical trim on anything. I did do some sub trim on the rudder. It was off just a touch, but I don't want to do too much sub trim because that's going to affect the steering up front. Took her outside. She more than passed her range test, and yeah, she steered pretty good, so I don't want to mess with steering too much. I may at some point put an afterburner in there because I do have only the 2 lights. But for right now, we're going to run her like this, and I will use an adapter. That's way too loose. And I am going to glue down that battery tray since I do have a gyro in here. Just so that you know, one thing I did was, I've been doing this lately, is, okay, the gyro, there's no gyro working right now, right? Okay. No correction from the gyro from AS3X. Okay. Now here's AS3X. Okay, watch, I gotta, hold on. Gonna get loud for a second. You gotta, in order to get that to work, I've got the gains turned all the way down. I got them on a roller. Now that's all the way up. Now see, there's a lot of correction. And what I've done was, on my flight modes, my flight mode 0 is safe mode, okay? In other words, self-correcting. If you notice how the ailerons are kind of holding, the elevator's holding its position, the ailerons are kind of holding their position, that was self-right the plane, okay? And then flight mode 2, which is just AS3X, which is just wind mitigation, or the AS3, the gyro. And then flight mode 3, gyro's off. There's no correction at all. And just rates, just flying with my rates. And more than likely, I will fly her, take off the first time with no gyro at all, just to make sure she's all trimmed out. And then I'll put her in the AS3X mode to enjoy a nice, smooth, evened out flight. That's just how I like to roll. And but yeah, I am going to try to stiffen that up a little bit, and I will glue in that tray a little bit better, and I will be using an adapter to make this a more secure, either on the lead of the battery or on the lead from the ESC, whichever makes it strong. I just want a good strong connection. I don't want to lose signal or lose power, in flight. So, well, there you go, folks. That's pretty much it. Simple setup. It's not a hard plane at all to put together. the gear go up and down fairly quick. You do have the doors on these. You got the trailing link suspension. I remember this plane. You want to land this like you would a Viper, making sure you keep your wings, always keep your wings level anyways, but you're not going to come in at a high alpha. You're going to bring your end pretty straight, and then right before you touch down, you're going to bring your nose up just a touch. You know, almost a 3-point landing. You're going to want to let your mains touch just a half second before your nose. Just a little bit of flare, but not much, because of that big wide wing. Now, if it was a high alpha, of course, it'd be nose up and letting your mains and then slap your nose down. But this is not a high alpha. This is more of a traditional wing. So you're going to land it like you would a Viper. All right, folks. Well, thank you for watching. This is Fat Guy Flies RC. Again, apologies for my weak voice. And y'all have a good banana hobby. Thank you so much. So you say hobby zone. Banana hobby, thank you so much for sending this plane out to me. And we'll get a review and we'll get her made for y'all. Y'all have a good. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all. Don't forget, faith, family, and friends. And then X-Fly Sirius.